Greetings, loyal viewers, and welcome back. Now, I want to apologize. This will probably be the last time I'm going to be a little late on my specific deadlines for the Badvent Calendar. And with that being said, this will probably be the last time I'm going to, because of that, do 2 in 1 video. But not to worry, I do plan to make up for this also by doing a reaction to the latest Christmas-related video from Mr. Nightmare that I haven't had on my watch later history, I think. No, it's not really history, but whatever. And the reasoning for that is that it's been a bit of a busy couple of days for us. We're still finishing putting up our Christmas decorations. Well, actually, I think by this point we've already done that, but we're still sprucing things up for the arrival of my brother's girlfriend, Lisa, from Germany. And on top of that, earlier today, me and my dad just got finished putting together the table that we got from one of our neighbors before they moved out last year. We had this table completely separated, not fully put together yet, for almost a year now in our freaking garage, but we've been so busy throughout this year. It's been a very rough year for us. So this is what it looks like, and you can see a little bit of what our kitchen looks like. We're still working on the kinks of getting things as neat as we possibly can for her arrival. Especially because this will be my first time actually meeting her in person, so I want to also do the best I can to really give off a good first impression. So much so that I even made a nice little welcome to the United States and Merry Christmas poster. You know those posters people hold up to welcome those at the airport? I made one of those for her. I'll show you guys what it is, probably in the next video. But needless to say, I'm definitely looking forward to her arrival big time. So, not really too much else to say, except we're with the second one that we're going to be reacting to today. We're now in the top 5, and in the top 5, the zoo race. And I'm just going to say for the record that the zoo race, if you have not seen his review of it yet, I definitely highly recommend. It was one of the first reviews he did when he moved into that apartment a few years ago before he finally moved in with his girlfriend, Caddicarus. So I highly recommend that. It's really funny, especially since it also has Brutal Moose in it. So really not too much else to say. I'm basically stalling now, so without further ado, let's get it on. Oh, also, before we get started, I want to apologize if you've been hearing some other music. I accidentally forgot to mute my TV as I'm still, right before doing this, I was playing a bit of Oblivion, and I might still do that after I'm done. So I'm just going to go ahead and have the Xbox dashboard on the side turned on, so that way the lighting won't be as distracting. At least the sudden change of lighting anyway, so with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Caddicarus presents the Badvent Calendar.
Before anyone clicks off this video right now for me slagging off one of their favourite games ever, I need to be clear. I showed off the PS1 box art for Shadow Man, because the PS1 version of Shadow Man is probably the worst port of a game I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
As far as the actual decent version of Shadow Man on PC goes, it may be a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned, but I have absolutely no idea. I've never played it and honestly have no interest to. If I had to judge things by this PS1 port though, my god, what went wrong here? This is easily one of the worst performing games on the PS1 I can mention, and I know this is a big game and world building is massively important to it, which is probably why it runs like a slideshow, but if that was the case, spread it across multiple discs. Final Fantasy did that, Oddworld did that, Metal Gear Solid did that, and they all run pretty well.
Yeah, and another example of a game with good world building that actually performed well would be Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, which if you haven't played that game, you should. It's a really fun game. And has some really excellent world building, and not to mention has Tony friggin' J as the person who's guiding you on your journey. Just saying, with the exception of him voicing Frollo, though don't get me wrong, I love Frollo, he's one of my favorite Disney villains, I would follow Tony J anywhere.
Not only does the performance make this game unplayable since inputs don't register and areas load extremely slowly, but there is so much missing in this game. And I don't mean characters and cutscenes when they just decide to disappear. Sometimes you get background music, sometimes you get dead silence.
Ugh, that made me think of that awful movie. This is direct capture from the game.
I'm not removing the audio track here. This is just what the game is like. No wind, no atmosphere, no sound effects, just eerie, horrible silence. And when sound effects do happen, they often don't even sound like they're part of the game and take over every other element on screen.
In fact, this is what this whole game looks like. It looks like some poor man's version of Soul Reaver.
The sound effects stick out like a wart with the lack of editing to make them feel part of the world, and when there aren't any other sounds going on to distract you, you then only ever notice every other oddity in the game. The awful textures,
that hurt my ear.
The unresponsive controls, and I mean, come on, am I playing Shadow Man?
And I'm not even playing this that loudly through my earbud here.
On Vin Diesel. And you can say the art design is supposed to be dark and sinister, but hey, there are many PS1 games out there that manage to do that atmosphere, but with better visuals and all the atmosphere.
Not only that, but like, again, the aforementioned Soul Reaver.
Everything else shitty about this game, it just
man, I have so much of Soul Reaver on my mind.
Pooey the further you go through the game. The main issue though is that I can't say any more about this game because I actually only played it for under an hour before giving up. And can you blame me? Not even when the game starts getting interesting with combat and such kept me invested. In their attempts to create a port of a game for a popular console in order to generate more sales and interest for their intellectual property, instead they managed to forever neutralize my interest for ever touching this game on a better version ever again. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that Shadow Man as a game is outright terrible. I haven't played enough to form any opinion on it at all, but this port really is terrible.
I must stop this evil from bringing about the end of all things.
I am a brooding master. Let me eat your soul. Oh god, that was terrible. But so was this port. It's not really uncommon for people to put certain ports of games on a worst list. Two good examples. Many people, if I recall correctly, put the PC port of Batman Arkham Knight as one of the worst games of 2015, and for good reason. I think he was even on Pro Jared's list, especially the way he starts out by being all, I am the Knight. I'm also the worst PC port of all time. So, and another good example would be the Nintendo Switch port of WWE 2K18. I think that's how that title's pronounced, or how that title is. There's a lot of WWE 2K games out there. It just so happens that while the game itself in general is not that bad, but the Nintendo Switch port is a good example of, if you're going to port your game over to the Nintendo Switch, you better make sure you put in the good amount of effort to make sure your game friggin' works. And that's clearly what the people behind who ported Shadow Man over to the PS1 clearly did not take into consideration. So, like I said, entering into the top 5 of the worst games ever, we now go on to the Zoo Race. And again, if you want a bit more of a context about how bad that is, as well as some really funny moments, some of my favorites, personally, I definitely would recommend checking out the Caddicarus review. But now we go ahead and see the version with little to no jokes and is more straightforward. So, with that said, let's get started. Yep, the Badvent Calendar.
This is the Zoo Race. Save yourselves while you still can and just don't ask. Much like
yeah,
Claus saves
I was almost tempted just to run away from looking at that. I'm not even gonna lie.
About it, I didn't think it was real. A religious cart race.
Can we go back and look at Einstein on that picture frame there? Could they have picked a less interested looking picture of Einstein? It makes it look like he doesn't want to be here as much as, if not even more than we do. This is the kind of game we're in for, folks.
Claus Saves the Earth. When I saw the intro cutscene to this game online and then researched more about it, I didn't think it was real. A religious kart racer about Noah's Ark where the plot is about two people in a library disagreeing about God and then chase each other around in circles and turn into animals, causing them to start racing other animals. How could this possibly be real? And with scenes in the intro like this?
Yeah, that face pretty much says it all.
I think it was some kind of Source filmmaker parody. But then for my collab video with Brutal Moose years ago, I discovered it wasn't fake. It was real. It had a website. The game had a download. And at the time, I had to pay money for it. And why was I only the 109th customer when I first played it in mid-2014? This is why! Look at this! Look at this! Not only is the concept utterly laughable, but the gameplay is simply embarrassing.
Very
embarrassing. Controls as
sensitively
and terribly as the last. All the racetracks are designed like roller coaster tracks with completely random things from God himself to poop to avoid.
Yeah.
And like all the better games from my list so far, sound effects are often totally missing or appear way too late.
Go! Yeah, no, that clip was actually from his review.
Out-of-time MIDI Christian rock anthems I've ever heard.
As well as this one. I've seen that review so many times I can remember in great detail of what was in the review and what was made for this video.
By the way, you control the game with the arrow keys and that's it. That's how bloody backwards we're talking about here. And according to the website, trying to use any other keys in the game itself aside from the menus will break it. Yes, you can break this game by using keys you'd expect to use in a game that's already broken. You also have a jump command, but that's what happens whenever you use it. What more can I say? Look at this shit. This is me trying to play the game to the best of my ability, and no matter what I do, the animals just fly around like they've got rockets in their asses. And for a racing game, the most fundamental and simple aspect of the game, the control, is totally out of whack. Playing this game isn't a choice. It's actually a privilege, because if it works correctly, then you're incredibly lucky. You're more likely to win the lottery than have this game work. Going uphill causes the game to shit itself, going downhill causes the game to shit itself, and swimming looks and sounds like this. Nowadays, the game is actually totally free on their website, so not only does that save it a few points from it being higher up the list, but if you want to experience most possibly the strangest PC game ever made, if you want a true trip, grab this now. Just be aware of what you're getting yourself into. This website doesn't trick you. Did you know that World War planes were in the Bible?
No, I'm done. Oh boy. So like I said, I still would highly recommend you going to check out the Caddicarus review of it, because it's pretty funny. I also like how he sometimes will, for games that he's already done reviews on the Caddicarus show, will occasionally use clips as examples, and I really like that. It's a nice little callback, if I do say so myself, and plus, editing-wise, it just kind of makes sense. It probably wouldn't work as much for me. Well, it probably would, because I easily have means to capture certain clips and footage from my old stuff to use for my new stuff. I think it's raining out there again. Well, regardless. So, not too much else I can say, so that's about all the time we got. If you like the video, go ahead and comment, like, and or subscribe, and the other your suggestions, leave some in the comment section below. And as always, I'm King Gargantuas, and I'll see you all next time. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to me if you want to see more videos like this. Follow me on Twitter at King Gargantuas if you want to know what I'm up to. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you all next time.